wasn't looking for anything that day, just killing time, wandering through the thrift store like I sometimes do when the silence at home gets too loud. The place smelled like old leather and metal hangers. It was quiet, just the hum of the fluorescent lights and the soft drag of coat sleeves against each other. I moved slowly between the racks, running my fingers across worn jackets and faded denim. Then I saw it. At first, I didn't believe it. I froze, hand half extended, heart slamming against my ribs. A navy blue jacket, the kind with suede elbow patches and a collar that never sat quite right. I knew that jacket. I knew the loose thread on the left cuff. I knew how the zipper used to catch if you pulled it too fast. It was Michael's, my husband's jacket. The one he wore the night before. He never came home. I reached out, half expecting my hand to pass through it like smoke, but it was real, solid, heavy. I lifted it from the rack. Breath caught in my chest. It smelled like dust and time, but beneath that, faintly, was something else, something I hadn't let myself feel in years. Him. I slipped my hand into the pocket, like I'd done 1,000 times before. My fingers closed around something, a folded piece of paper. I pulled it out. My hands trembled. The handwriting on the envelope was unmistakable. His. For Anna. Just that, nothing else. I stood there for a long moment, surrounded by forgotten clothes and flickering light, clutching a letter from a dead man.
Anna, if you're reading this, it means the jacket found you. Or maybe you found it. I never knew which one of us believed more in signs. There are things I never got to say, things I never thought I'd have to explain. But if you're holding this, it means it's time.
Michael wasn't perfect. He snored. He always left his coffee cup on top of the fridge for some reason. He had the worst jokes, the kind that made you groan and smile at the same time. But he loved me, fully, quietly. And I loved him back. Not in the loud fireworks kind of way, but like an anchor, like something you build your life around. We were together 7 years, and then he was gone. The night it happened, I still remember everything. He had dinner with me, pasta. He kissed my forehead while I did the dishes. Said he had to run out for something. Didn't say what. I thought he was picking up wine for our movie night. He never came back. Hours passed. I called, texted, called again. At 3:14 a.m., I got the call from the police. There'd been an accident on the highway. The car was totaled, burned beyond recognition. One body inside. No ID on the man, but in the wreckage, they found his wallet, his wedding ring, and a piece of a blue jacket. That was enough. They said it had to be him, and I believed them. I grieved. I buried a coffin with nothing inside. I slept on his side of the bed for 6 months, listening to the silence press against me.
What they told you wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. There was an accident, but I wasn't in that car. Not really. I had to disappear, Anna. I didn't have a choice.
I read the words over and over, trying to make them mean something else. But they were still there, still in his voice. Michael. Gone. But maybe not dead?
If I told you everything in person, you wouldn't have believed me. Or worse, you'd try to stop me. The truth is, I was never just a sales rep. That was the surface. The smile, the briefcase, the boring Monday meetings. Underneath it, I was part of something else. Government contracts, quiet ones. Things that don't get logged or talked about. You're not supposed to bring that work home. But I did. I brought it home in the form of secrets I didn't fully understand. And then, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see.
My pulse was pounding. I was standing in the middle of my kitchen, letter trembling in my hands. His voice was in my head again, too clear, too real. I hadn't heard it in 2 years, and now it was whispering from the grave, telling me he'd been living a double life.
I was warned, told to keep my head down, but I couldn't. What I saw, it wasn't just illegal, it was evil. People were getting hurt, disappearing, and I knew I was next. So I staged it, the fire, the crash, the ring. I left everything behind.
I hated doing it to you, but it was the only way to keep you safe. The envelope was smudged from my fingers. I hadn't even realized I was crying. My knees gave out and I sat down on the floor. I wanted to scream, punch something, but most of all, I wanted to see him again, to touch his face and say, "You don't get to do this to me. Not like this."
If you're still reading, it means you haven't walked away. That matters to me. There's a locker, bus station, locker 29B. The key is in the jacket pocket. If you want answers, real ones, go there. But know this. Once you open it, there's no turning back.
The key was there, right where he said, tucked deep inside the jacket pocket. A small brass thing, cold against my palm. It felt heavier than it should have. I stared at it for hours. I made tea. I walked circles around my kitchen. I even tried to throw it away once, but I couldn't because somewhere deep down, I knew the moment I found that jacket, my life was already changing. The next morning, I took the train. The old part of the city, a terminal I hadn't stepped into since I was a teenager. The air smelled like dust and diesel. Locker 29B was near the back, half hidden behind a vending machine. My hand shook as I turned the key. Inside, a brown envelope, thick, marked only with one word: truth. I took it to a bench, opened it slowly. Photos, dozens. My husband, standing with people I didn't recognize, looking over his shoulder, talking to men in dark suits. One picture, him holding a briefcase, glancing straight into the camera. He looked scared. Another, a map, places circled in red, notes scribbled in shorthand I didn't understand. And then, at the bottom, another letter. This one shorter, tighter. It felt like goodbye.
Anna, if you found this, then I guess I never made it back to you. I wish I could have told you all of it in person, held you one last time. But maybe this is better. You deserve to know the truth, to decide who I was to you, not based on a coffin or a folded flag, but based on what I tried to protect. I love you. I never stopped, not for a single second. If there's still a part of you that wants to see me again, go to the bench at Miller's Park. Saturday, 6 p.m. If not, throw this away, I'll understand.
I didn't sleep that night. I laid in bed, letter open beside me, staring at the ceiling and trying to remember the sound of his laugh. I thought about all the versions of him: the man I married, the man who vanished, the stranger who lived in shadows, the man who still called me Anna in his handwriting, with love. Saturday came. I walked to Miller's Park. I sat on the far bench, just like he said. The sun was low. Kids laughed in the distance, and I waited. Every minute felt like a lifetime. I kept looking over my shoulder, at every tall man, every dark coat. 6, 6:15, 6:32. A woman walked past with her dog. A boy rode by on a scooter, but no Michael, no jacket, no whisper in my ear, just the wind, and a bench, and me. I stayed until sunset. Then I stood up, took one last look around, and I walked home. Maybe he couldn't make it. Maybe someone got to him before he could get to me. Maybe he sat on another bench in another city, waiting. Or maybe that was the goodbye, the last test, the final page. I kept the jacket. I folded the letter and I locked them away, not to forget, but to remember. Not who he was, but what he tried to be. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever lost someone or found a piece of them when you least expected, I hope this gave you something. If it did, please like, comment, and subscribe. We all carry jackets from the past. Some still have letters in the pocket.